what is Wi-Fi? We always say the word Wi-Fi, but we don't necessarily know what Wi-Fi means or what is the abbreviation for. So Wi-Fi is an abbreviation for wireless fidelity, wireless internet. It's a facility allowing computers, smartphones, and various other devices, iPads, iPods, to connect to the internet or communicate with one another wirelessly within a particular area. Say, for example, we're here at the University of St. Martin. They have Wi-Fi. You could connect to their Wi-Fi in this particular area. Okay, and it would give our smartphones, iPads, and give us access to the internet so that we could communicate with who? The people worldwide, right? Okay, so facts. What do we know about Wi-Fi? 1/4 of all families worldwide have Wi-Fi at home. Does everybody in here have Wi-Fi at home? By a show of hands. Everybody have Wi-Fi at home? Okay, so in 2016, they're approximating that 800 million families will have Wi-Fi at home, which is similar to a penetration degree of 42%. Okay, so imagine how long ago Wi-Fi came about? 30 years. I don't think in 30 years we had Wi-Fi, right? It's just within the past few years or so, right? Yeah, in the 90s or so you had to go and you put in the card in the computer, right? The Ethernet, you put it in and either connect it to your phone. You can't get no phone calls because your internet on. People trying to call you and it's like, oh, I was on the internet, right? Okay, but now in this day and age, you just go put in a password and then you're connected to the rest of the world, right? So they're saying that in this day and age, children access the internet almost as long or for the same amount of hours that their parents work. Do anyone think that's true? And this doesn't include homework, but does anyone think that this is true? Okay, so we already said who is a Wi-Fi generation or what we think is a Wi-Fi generation. In this day and age, almost all children between the ages of 8 to 18 years possess their own mobile phones. So we know several of us in here have kids. How many of them have phones? By a show of hands. And they have smartphones. Somebody saying everybody, but everybody ain't putting up their hand though. Okay, so it's becoming more and more popular for children at a younger age to get a phone and a smartphone at that. Now, how many of you remember when you were between the ages 8 and 18? Okay, when I was around, they had cell phones. I mean, when I was a little younger, you know. That's when they had the Nokias and those type of phones. They didn't have the phones, the smartphones, and they didn't have access to WhatsApp and all of those things. But even though when I was going to school, I wasn't one of the fortunate ones to have a phone. So how many of you, when you were in high school or back in your days, how many of you had phones? Because we know cell phones existed, even if it was a big old ones where you used to, you know those kind of cell phones? Those big old ones where you used to have to plug in a car and those things. No, they used to look like house phones. Right? Okay, so some of us didn't have any phones, but today we're seeing children as young as 8 years old or maybe even younger having cell phones. Even to the babies when they're born, they're looking at you give them a plastic cell phone, which is intended for children, and they're throwing it on the side and they're telling you like, look, they're seeing a real phone, right? So that's a reality today. The children know the difference. We can't fool them no more with those little phones like, look, talk. They're like, no, I'm not hearing anybody on the other side and I can't do nothing with this. So more than half of the children possess a smartphone and are able to use the mobile internet via their phones. So they could access the internet via their phones. So when we ask who is or what is the Wi-Fi generation, it's only when they do not have adult supervision, when children don't have adult supervision, is when they become the Wi-Fi generation. What do we think about this statement? Any thoughts? Because we know those children, we know what children have phones, but are we able to see what they're doing on their phones or their different electronic devices when we're not around? Right? And that's when they become the Wi-Fi generation. So I have a nice little video that I want you to look at. This is new baby born with an iPhone and technology. You could imagine that? So the new babies being born with iPhones and technology. What do we think about that? Somebody say it's frightening. Anybody else? Does it scare anybody else? No? Vanya saying no because I know that ain't gonna happen. Okay, so the 10 features of the Wi-Fi generation. We have various features of the Wi-Fi generation that we're gonna go into in a while. So 100% privacy. Before I go into the rest of the things, we're gonna go into each one of them individually. But let's talk about privacy. What is privacy? Give me a definition of privacy. What do you think privacy is? Vanya? I like that definition. Vanya said privacy is something that little children is not supposed to have. Anybody else? What is privacy? Anybody else? Something you don't want anybody else to know. Okay, I like that definition. It's a personal thing. So can you discuss your own personal experiences with privacy issues in your personal and professional life? Any issues or any challenges that you had with your privacy in your personal and professional life? She thinks somebody's hacking her computer. Anybody else? Any challenges or any issues that you had with privacy in your professional or private life? No? Anybody ever take your picture and posted it online without your permission? Is that infringement of your privacy? Yeah? Okay. You didn't give them permission to do it. Anybody ever took your picture and used it without your permission? Of course. And of course they're going to tag you in the picture too, like, yeah, look here. Right? And get you in trouble. You see, because sometimes you don't want to get catching certain pictures. You know, maybe you might be at a party or you might be somewhere where you don't really want nobody to see you. You know, and they're going to just snap a picture and then... You see, now that's questionable. What we need to know what he's going to do with those pictures, right? Okay, so what privacy is? Privacy is a protection of private information. What about your body? We call it private. You want some privacy because you're dealing with your body, right? So privacy is also the protection of your body, your home, your family life, your rights to confidential communication, because she said somebody hacking her phone and her internet. Your rights to confidential communication through letters, phones, emails, and things as such. Okay, so going back to features of the Wi-Fi generation, privacy, they have 100% privacy. So when they're on their phones in their bedrooms or when they're on their little electronic devices, their iPads, you don't know what they're doing. Right? They could be doing all kind of things that we don't want them to do. But what I like is the image at the bottom. The father says to his son, I spent a fortune for a 60-inch plasma TV, and now you'd rather watch programs on a 2-inch iPad screen. Right? And I know, like, for example, my father for sure, he likes big TVs. And he can't understand why I'm on a phone when he have this big old TV right here to entertain me. But we find more entertainment via our phones, right? So another feature of the Wi-Fi generation, they are autonomous. What do we mean by this? They think for themselves. And look, you could see this baby have on a shirt saying, "My crib has Wi-Fi." And that's what the baby's saying. He's like, "My crib got Wi-Fi, so let me do what I want." Okay? Okay, but 11-year-old Omar, he says, "I prefer to be on my own when I am on the internet. In the past, the computer was situated in the living room. Then I had to share the computer with my sister. Now I am connected through my iPod." What do we think about this statement? Everybody remember when the computer was right there and you had to be looking over your shoulder or closing down the window when your parents are passing by, right? But now they got a little smartphone. All they got to do is turn away from you and you don't know what they was looking at. So another feature is that the Wi-Fi generation, they're always online and they're everywhere. You are using your mobile phone. What are you doing? The child says, "I send messages, but it's also fun to find the location of my friends through Google Maps or eBuddy. Maps follow them everywhere." And this is a 16-year-old boy. Now, we're going to get more into being able to follow your friends wherever they are, because we know that's a possibility. Because sometimes, okay, I don't want to jump ahead, but we're going to get into it. But let me just say this. Sometimes the GPS system or the GPS feature on your phones, it allows your friends to find you where you are. So today, I might not want Vanina to know that I am here, right? But the Wi-Fi, the feature on my phone, the GPS feature on my phone, just say, "Hey, tomorrow over there by USM, you know what she's doing?" No. Vanina gonna be like, "Okay, I'm gonna go find out." Okay? So that's a feature. And as we know, Wi-Fi is everywhere. In Europe, whenever you go to like bigger countries, or even Santo Domingo, they have Wi-Fi on the buses. So you could connect, you're taking a long trip to go somewhere, you could connect with Wi-Fi on the bus or at the airport. And anybody recognize this picture over here to the right? Where is that? Greenhouse. So here in St. Martin, everywhere you go to a restaurant, the first thing you want to know, what's your password? Okay, so Wi-Fi is everywhere. They even have little free Wi-Fi booths over there in the upper left-hand corner. You remember back in the day that used to be like phone booths? Nobody don't really use phone booths anymore. So now they replace them with Wi-Fi booths. That ain't something else? Okay, and even to when you're on the beach, you could use Wi-Fi. And the image here to the lower left-hand corner, that's like in Europe and other places, like where people go camping. They have Wi-Fi on the campgrounds. Now, I know my perception of camping means you're supposed to get away from everything, from all forms of technology. But no, people want Wi-Fi now when they go into the forest or wherever they go camping, right? So continuously traceable, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the GPS on your phone. They could find you anywhere. I could decide, look, I'm going to I just want to relax in there at the beach. I take my phone with me, and somebody going to come, "Oh God, Tamara on the beach today, and she didn't invite me." They go, "No, on the beach. Leave the phone home." That's an option. But how many of us feel so comfortable leaving the phone home intentionally? You might want to make a call. Maybe something might happen because we think, okay, it might have an emergency. Maybe a shark might bite somebody on the beach and I might have to call the ambulance. So let me just take my phone just in case. I might have to Google how to save his life. Right? So we don't always want to leave our phones home. So going back to locations and people and being traceable and Wi-Fi and Facebook, how many of you check in and let everybody know where you are on Facebook? Because sometimes Facebook does do it automatically. Anybody? You have that feature on Facebook? Some people aren't on Facebook, but Facebook, they would tell you, look, Tamara eating by this high-class restaurant right now, girl. Okay? And they will tell all your friends on Facebook. Because all my friends know I like to eat. Okay, but they have specialties as well when it comes to location. They try to make it beneficial for you. For example, check in at Moe's. Here it says if you check in on Facebook that you're here at Moe's, then you'll get 5% off of any photography package. So they're making it exciting. They're making it exciting for you because you're getting 5% off for all your pictures. And we know that this generation like to take selfies. How many of us got selfie sticks? Okay, 2. Okay. We know people like to take selfies. And for some people that don't know what selfies are, selfies is when you take your phone and you snap a picture of yourself. Cheese, right? Okay, and so like I said, they're trying to make it more marketable for you to say where you are all the time. For example, we know they have a lot of different apps out there. And I know all of us got apps on our phone. But they even have the McDonald's app. Anybody ever hear about the McDonald's app? Have one person in the back saying yes. You ever used it? You could place orders on the McDonald's app. Okay, not only can you place orders, you get to see what the menu looks like. You get to see all the locations where there's a McDonald's in the area. You get driving directions to get to McDonald's in the area. And they're telling you, you're seeing the little fire sign right there? It's like hot deals. They got hot deals. And sometimes, say for example, I might be passing by the McDonald's on Front Street. And my McDonald's app realized that I closed some McDonald's. And then this app going to say, oh yeah, come in now. You could get, what's the sandwich they have at McDonald's? A McChicken, right? You could get a McChicken for only 50 cents. Now somebody like me would like to eat. Okay, guys, 50 cents McChicken. Okay, I got in there, right? But these are the different types of things that they're doing to lure you into the businesses. Okay, and if you're in the, you know, on Facebook, you could even put it on Facebook that you buy McDonald's, or you could send a tweet. Anybody on Twitter? One person on Twitter. I think some other people on Twitter, but they probably, I see somebody scratching their ear, like they want to raise their hand, but they didn't want to do it. Okay, so you can send a tweet and leave everybody know that you are at McDonald's. And who knows what this is here in the middle? It's a watch. So you could connect, so they have not just phones, they have wearables, things that you could wear, that you could connect to the internet, or you have Wi-Fi all the time. And we're going to talk a little bit more about wearables in a few. But even if you have on your watch, your smart watch, and you have the McDonald's app on it, beep, 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 we buy McDonald's. It's time to go, right? Okay, so another feature of the Wi-Fi generation is that they're technically skilled. According to a parent, she says, my daughter found out how to enter a protected Wi-Fi network. How did she know the password, I asked. The child said, I just try. What do we think about this? The children, and a lot of times we as parents, we think, oh yes, I can put a password on this now, this child, I never know what it is. It don't work. But all the children know that it's their name that you got as a password and the year they born. The children know those things. Okay. So it does not download. The Wi-Fi generation does not download. The Wi-Fi generation like everything for free. Now, when we just got our phones, we used to want to download all the latest songs, right? We want all the latest songs, so when we bathing or when we driving or when we washing up with dishes, we just put on that song. But no, the Wi-Fi generation, they like everything free. Why download when you could stream? Right? Why download when you could go to YouTube and put on what music you want here? Or why download when you could just go on another site and watch a free movie? Right? So the Wi-Fi generation likes free things. Okay. And according to this child, he says, you did not really think I was paying for anything on the internet, did you? He says, I search for free stuff all the time. And I really like this cartoon because he says, would you pay for my attention stream? So my colleagues know that I like to sell everything. Right? Or my friends know, rather, that I like to sell everything. So if they would pay me to give them some attention, I'll sell it to them for $5. That's a joke. Okay, so it records everything. The Wi-Fi generation records everything. We talk about the selfies just now. What do we mean that the Wi-Fi generation records everything? Someone, Miss Ellis, you look like you're eager to speak. Exactly, that's a good example. If a fight or something is taking place in the street, the Wi-Fi generation can pull out their cameras and they can be like, boy, let me record this because then I could put it on YouTube, or maybe I could show the police what happened, or they could share it with their friends. This is what happened, boy, you see what happened? Look at this, and you have it live. Or maybe they're even thinking that they could sell it to media too. At least that's what I would have think of. Okay, so the Wi-Fi generation records everything. And I do mean everything. You see this child here? What is he doing? What is he recording? He's taking pictures of himself, right? Who knows who he's going to send this picture to? And according to this child, she says, well, we know this isn't a girl in this picture, but a child said it's very easy for me to upload films to my website with my iPhone. It is a matter of one push on a button. Films are much better than text, for example, in a diary. So when we say they record everything, do we know what types of pictures our children taking with the devices? No? And we do know that everything these days coming with cameras. From the iPhones to the iPods, and all of those have cameras attached to them. And when they send, or when they take these pictures, they send it to their friends. And like we say, the Wi-Fi generation, they like to exchange everything. They like to share. You remember back in the day when our parents used to tell us, boy, you have to share. You must learn to share with your sister. You must learn to share with your brother. Well, the Wi-Fi generation, they like to share with everybody, even if it's somebody all the way on the other side of the world. And what is happening in this picture with the person that's receiving it on the other side of the world? He's sharing it to somebody else. Not just somebody else, but two other people. Right? And who knows who else these people are going to share it to. Right? So those are just some things that we have to take in mind, take into consideration. And of course, it does not reflect. According to this 13-year-old child, he says, I watch a lot of different things on YouTube. Porno as well. That's cool. What do you think about that? The child says, what do you mean? What do I think about that? Right? So what is this type of device that's shown in this picture right here? Exactly, it's a PSP. It's a game, right? How many of our kids have PSPs? Okay, I see several hands, people saying that their children have PSPs. Okay, and when we gave the child a PSP, it was just to play a game, right? just to play a game, but these PSPs have access to the internet, and they could watch way more than a game on here. Okay? So what are the consequences of the Wi-Fi generation? Can anybody read the first sentence? They're technically skilled, but they're vulnerable. What do we mean by this? They open up to anything, and meaning that also includes different dangers as well, right? Socially and emotionally still children. What do we mean by this? They don't have no feelings, somebody say. They're socially and emotionally still. Exactly. I like that. They're not communicating anymore on a face-to-face basis. Now we all know, and sometimes I know that some of us in here do it too. We may be in the perfect company of somebody else, but what are we going to do? Talking to somebody else via some form of social media, right? Okay, and sometimes the children, because they don't have or sometimes they have limited communication with other people or other children, they become socially still. They don't know how to communicate with others. You remember back in the day how we used to make friends as children, right? How? You used to go up and you want, hey, my name is so-and-so, what's yours? Right? Okay, but in this day and age, some children, they don't know how to do that. Supervision by adults disappears, and media literacy is becoming more and more important. So meaning that we as adults have to tell the children or have to teach the children how to navigate through the different forms of media. So the bad news. So we have cyberbullying, sexting. We're familiar with that term? And that's what the little boy was doing when you send half-naked pictures or even naked, fully naked pictures to other people via text messages. Distracted driving. Any one of us in here types or texts or talks while we're driving. Vanessa said everybody does do it. Okay, so cheating. And I had to make it's different forms of cheating. But when I mentioned it, I was thinking more along the terms of texting friends during exams, because we said that the children have 100% privacy. But we also know that a lot of adults, they had a study that was done in Holland a few years ago, whereby a lot of people are being caught cheating with other people via text messages or via their phones or smartphones. Location-based technology is infringing on people's privacy. We already touched on that.